You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys being here with us. Once again, for 15 years, we've been bringing the smartest people, the most brilliant minds, the CEOs, the billionaires, the Pulitzer Prize winners, the astronauts, the White House advisors, the FBI, the CIA. Oh, we didn't do the CIA. We haven't done the CIA. We tried to get actually the CIA director on a couple times, and we can't get him. And I'm not sure that we want to, because if I ever pissed him off and did a bad show, I'd probably end up one of those Poland places being waterboarded. But that's a different story. Anyway, guys, we have the most amazing minds on the show. But as always, we need your amazing minds, those of you who listen to the show, to go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss and tell your family and friends and relatives to go there as well. It's not a Ponzi scheme, people. It's not an MLM. It's like an MLM. It's like having 5 people in your downline, but it's a downline of intelligence where when you hang out with them at like Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, and family get-togethers, they won't drive you mad because they'll be saying stupid shit. They'll be listening to the Chris Voss Show, so they're going to be intelligent. And they're going to have the Chris Voss Show glow. So this is the beauty of it. So goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter, and Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety-Talkety as well. We've got an amazing gentleman on the show, and I think you're going to really like him. He's a lot of fun. He's got a lot of energy, and he's going to be talking to us about how to set your brand on fire. Now, that might sound like bad or good, depending upon how you do it. Or as scientists like to say, your brand on fire. I don't know what that means. But he joins us today. Rich Kozak joins us today to talk to us about his brand and your brand and all of our brands. There's a lot of branding going on. And I don't know. He's got a wood fire going and some irons in it. And we're going to get down with the brands. What is this, like a disco song? Get down with the brands? I think so. Rich Kozak is the founder and CEO of RichBrands. Rich is a mentor and guide to experienced, heart-centered professionals and entrepreneurs determined to make higher-level impacts. He's the most present, heart-connecting, clear-speaking, deep-listening, caring branding expert you will ever meet. And if you don't believe him, he'll punch you in the face. No, I added that part. I ad-libbed that. No, he's a really nice guy. I'm just kidding. And it's not about branding. Although, what? It's about using your unique gifts in significant ways to impact people's lives and the world. Rich is a straight talk guy you can trust with deep experience that you can count on. 46 years. So here you go. Here's the sell. 46 years of defining, languaging, and launching brands. He's a certified consultant with decades alongside partners worldwide impacting companies. Rich now shares his gifts only with individual entrepreneurs skeptical about branding. Welcome to the show, Rich. How are you?
I'm blessed. And wow, you did that so well. Do you want a job?
Yeah, well, I got one. Dude, I get like $5 a day over here, eh? Yeah. And they give me like I don't know. They give me free Red Bulls. So, Rich, welcome to the show. Congratulations on everything you do. And I should mention, too, you're a multi-book author as well. They left that out of your bio. You should not set that aside.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well,
in fact, I just didn't read down that far in your bio, so I'm cheating there. But tell us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
Thank you for asking. The easiest thing is to go to RichBrands, RichBrands.org. There
you go. So, Rich, excuse me. Rich, give us a 30,000 overview of what you do and how you do it.
Thanks for asking. So these days, I used to work with really, really big companies, as big as $14 billion. Back in the day, when I turned 50, I resigned to reshape my life because I was kind of addicted to it. Years later, I ended up working with some individuals, and I realized that I can use that same process that we taught to big companies with individuals that are determined to make an impact on people whose lives they touch. There are millions of entrepreneurs and professionals, some who have been working at what they do for 20 or 30 years, and they want to take their impacts to a higher level, more geography, more people, new target audiences, maybe more spiritual, maybe they want to step into their purpose. And they do not trust, they don't know branding, they don't trust branding, they know they need it. I'll say, put it in quotes. I need a brand, but I don't know. They think they have to wear a superhero costume, become something that they're not, because they just don't understand what it is. I have been teaching it for 46 years, defining and languaging brands and launching them and marketing them. Mm-hmm. And it's a process. It's when you don't do certain things. Let's make it positive. When you do certain things and make sure that certain check marks are checked on your marketing execution checklist before you open your brand's mouth, your brand will come alive. If you don't, it will fall flat. Most brands fall flat. That's the bottom line. And so the biggest challenge, and people, if your eyes are rolling in the back of your head and you're thinking branding, oh man, this is making me dizzy. Here's something you can own, whether you're a one-person company or, you have 500 employees or 10,000 employees. A brand is a perception, but it's not your perception. Everybody thinks a brand is what they think it is. That's not true. It's what everybody else thinks it is. Okay. So here's the deal. If you want to listen to somebody who wants to tell you about how their marketing service will be good for your branding, but they can't tell you what is branding and how to make a brand come alive, you might not want to listen to them yet. You might want to get your brand defined in language before it opens its mouth on its next level, when it's going to take its impacts to another level. Here's the deal. Clarity is the missing piece. And it's a couple different kinds of clarity. But when clarity about whom the brand is going to impact and the levels of impacts that it clearly sees making, and the picture of what it sees for those that it's going to impact, when those are really clear and communicated clearly, your brand is a magnet. If they're not, you fall flat.
So the important thing is to establish a brand, realize that you can't buy your own bullshit. It's what everybody else thinks it is.
Thank you.
Right? Don't be in your own private Idaho. A lot of companies do that. They think that, if we just send out a PR notice, everybody will know what our branding is. And there's a lot of companies that actually, I think, like, I don't know, what's a good example? Maybe a good example is like, everybody knew what FedEx, everybody called FedEx, and finally they just had to start calling them FedEx because everyone was like, that's the brand that people think about or reference. I don't know, the reference point. So you have the branding, and I think you describe what a branding is, or what a brand is. And then what is branding? Is that the marketing end of it? Is that going on?
Well, thanks for asking, and I'll make this very, very,
we're laying a foundation for a
couple of words here. So here it is. Since a brand is a perception, branding is everything that you get to do, and you can never afford to do all the things you could do. It's whatever you do that creates a consistent perception that strategically moves you forward to where your brand needs to be to make the impacts it wants to make. So there are two things there. It's consistent and it's strategic. So branding is all those things, and it includes all kinds of communication elements, anything that is marketing. And I sat on the board of directors of the American Marketing Association International. I was elected for 4 years. I use one word for marketing. Now listen to this, and anyone who's listening, I'm talking to you as an individual or as the leader of whatever entity you represent. Your marketing at its best now is the execution of an excellent branding strategy. Branding comes first. The definition of who you are and what you stand for and why you do what you do, why the company does what it does, what's meaningful to it, what's in its heart, what does it see for you when you let the brand in? All of that stuff, that is foundational. It comes first. Then the marketing happens. because it's executional. And then because marketing is, it's all those elements that you learn in college. It's like you got distribution, and you got advertising, and you got product and price and promotion, and all those things are marketing elements. You get to decide what marketing elements are the ones you really need to reach your target audience to bring the brand in. Mm-hmm. It's all based on strategy or not. And most people, it's not, because they jump to marketing. Honest to goodness, I can't tell you how many individuals that I hear say things like, we don't really have time for branding right now. We just need to get some leads. We're going to do marketing, get some leads. We'll worry about the branding later. That's a problem.
That's definitely a problem.
I'll tell you why. When you don't define clearly now, and remember clarity, if you don't clearly define that picture of what you see for your target audience when they let the brand in, because you paint that picture clearly, you're a magnet. If you don't do that and you don't think through the impacts you're making on them, even if you're selling a product, the impact on their life or their business or their job or their pet, whatever it is you're doing, right? When they're taking weight off their shoulders or overcoming childhood abuse or whatever your brand is doing. If you don't bake clarity into that picture and into those hierarchy of impacts, your brand will not consistently speak. And the clarity with which your brand speaks shapes its impact.
There you go.
And
so let me ask you this. If I'm out there listening, and I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, coach, author, how do I make that initial definition of my brand? I'm sitting there on square one going, like you say, laying this foundation. And how do I define my brand? Like, who am I and what am I doing? Or how are other people going to perceive me and what I'm doing?
I'll say a simple answer so you realize the reason I'm writing the book, Impact Driven Branding, 7 Steps to Ensure Your Brand Impacts People's Lives in the World, is it's just a process. So there's 7 steps. And the work that we do here, there's always 7 steps. And you can watch yourself move along the steps. So let's just take step 1. We could turn this into a workshop, but this is not a workshop. This is a podcast. Sure. So let's not, but let's do this. Literally, you can do step 1 and step 2 with your eyes closed. Mm. And you heard a little bit of it just now. It's picture in your mind's eye what your brand is what you personally, because you're probably an individual listening to this as an individual or on behalf of a company, but you as an individual, picture what your brand is doing when you're thriving. And I mean, everything you do is being accepted and is successful. You coach, they listen, they do. You offer a program, they accept it. You sell something, they buy it. Everything is thriving. What brings you joy and that you can see doing? Are you coaching? Are you speaking as an inspirational speaker? Do you have masterminds that pull world-class experts together for a year? Like, what are you doing? Picture, write it down what you clearly see your brand doing when you're thriving. And don't pick anything you don't want to do that doesn't bring you joy. You want to write books? Great. You want to just speak into a microphone? Great. There's all these things. Picture. Now,
what about OnlyFans? Does that work for me? I'm thinking OnlyFans for me.
One more time.
OnlyFans.com. I'm thinking that for me. OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so
no one wants to pay to see that.
Well, the world is filled with different kinds of people.
Let's not encourage me.
I'm sure you'll find your tribe, or hopefully they'll find you.
I'll keep my day job.
So the second step is ask your heart, whom you clearly see impacting through your work, through your business, through your gift, or through your calling, however you see it. Ask your heart. Do not go to your head. Please ask your heart. Say, heart, give me 1. And it'll give you 1. Is it, that single mom with a special needs child and she's worried about what would happen if something happened to her? Is it a couple that's 5 years from retirement? Is it somebody that just graduated from college or just got a new job? It's like, who is the person who can't feel so stuck but they don't know why, and it's because they had a childhood filled with abuse and they can't seem to get over it, and you're going to help them. And like, who is the person that you first your heart gives you? just write that person down to describe them. Your heart may give you several.
So does your potential clients, trying to find what they want, maybe help you define your brand? I don't know. That's a question.
Well,
it's kind of an ill-defined question. But.
Well, of course it does. I mean, it becomes part of the definition. It becomes part of the description of whom your heart just gave you.
Oh.
So if you're a coach that teaches financial services representatives how to touch the hearts and lives of those whose families he or she serves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Part of it is what those families are looking for and what they see that they want to welcome in, because their brand has to be acceptable and unique, and to answer the question, why them, for their clients. It's always that way. So sure, a little bit of a mind bender question, but fair. Nonetheless. But yeah, it's whom you clearly see impacting. And, you might be a product manufacturer. I have clients who manufacture uniforms, and they have a specific thing that came to them that they feel can change the nature of safety across the world for people who work in dark places. And I have clients who integrate software that will help manufacturers or distributors become an intelligent enterprise. But I have experts who are experts at diversity, equity, inclusion in law firms, or people who help others overcome what has become a weight on their life and they can't seem to release it. And these people specialize in it, traumatic abuse or being in a coming from a marginalized community or culture. It's like, it doesn't matter what your work, your gift, your calling, your business is. It doesn't. The rules, the process, the steps of branding are the same. When you do them, it works. When you make sure your brand has congruence with your heart, the congruence with the heart of the champion, and consistency across the board, and unique language that transfers energy about what it does, and recognizability that is positive the first time and continues to be positive. Not like, oh, there's that stupid thing again. Not that recognizability, but continuing, first impression, second impression, third. Those four things make a brand come alive. If you don't have them, you won't come alive.
Yeah.
You'll fall flat. And this is the difference. Fall flat. Somebody says, "Hey, what do you do?" And you go, "Well, I manage the 32 steps of the iterative brand continuum." People go, "Okay,
yeah.
That's nice." Oh, I left
buzzwords.
I left a cigarette burning across, and they don't even smoke, and they're gone. Okay. Versus somebody says, "What do you do?" And I say, "Well, people tell me that I put rocket fuel in their branding casting." Okay, words have power, and when your brand has unique language that transfers energy. And I don't mean trick. I don't mean like, oh, hey, Chris, you are the silver-haired, grandfather of the pie. It's like, it's not something you have to put on like it's fakey and now you have to become it. The Jolly Green Giant of the, literally I've been to trade shows. I guess I better not do that. The last trade show I was at, literally saw a woman in a superhero costume.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. And she literally felt that gave her authority.
I mean, you never know. She could be the real thing. She could be a real superhero.
Thank you.
You never know. It's just possible.
We live in a world where anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
We live in a world where everything is possible. I'm trained in NLP. I'm a certified trainer.
Oh.
I'm with you. But no.
There you go.
So here's the difference. If you're listening to this right now, you probably don't want to have to fit yourself into some superhero costume and become something you don't feel you really are, or that you would feel a little funny. You just want to make your impacts. And if that's you, if you just want to make your impacts and you wish your brand were the most comfortable pair of shoes you've ever put on, this is for you. This is straight talk you can trust and deep experience you can count on to step the steps and have what you need to be consistently impactful and magnetic and attractive for years, using consistent language that transfers energy and elevates what you do and gives you credit for what makes you outstanding or what makes you unique. That's part of what branding is. And marketing is the process that gets you credit. It's the communication, and it puts it out there, but it's executional. Branding comes first.
There you go. Branding is everything. So why do people misunderstand branding nowadays? What do you feel that is? You mentioned earlier in the show about how some people,
Chris, that is such a great question. I think simply it's because most of the people who use the word in a business setting, who are selling something, and I'll be specific. So it's usually a marketing services supplier, a salesperson. They sell something in the marketing executional area, and they're telling you that what they sell will be good for your branding. But they don't know branding. They don't know what it means. They don't know how to make a brand come alive. No one's ever taught them. Matter of fact, there are very few teachers of the steps. Much of branding that we'll see comes from people who have design background, and it's heavily colors, design, look. But branding goes way beyond that. It is foundationally who you are and what you stand for, and the things that are uniquely you. That has to be languaged. You don't go to AI to find that out. You don't, put your coin in a tell my fortune machine and it comes out telling you your brand. The work comes from inside. When you want to make impacts on others with your heart, it comes from inside you. And if you speak Italian and you played in a rock band and you counseled CEOs and you've been a marketing manager and you sat on the board of directors of the American Marketing Association and you ran a high-tech ad agency for 17 years and were the exec VP, head of new business, and had partners in 21 countries, and you certified branding, and nobody knows all that stuff. If somehow you can create an umbrella brand where you get credit for what makes you outstanding, that based on all of those areas of things, which are all kind of spokes of your umbrella, because if you don't do that umbrella, it's going to be confusing. Oh, I thought you did this, but you do this. So when you don't define in language that umbrella brand that makes you, it's tough to get credit for what makes you outstanding. When you do an excellent job defining and language it from the beginning and giving it language at the highest level of impact, you will from the very beginning get credit for what makes you outstanding, get credit for the vision you have of, well, where does this go? Where does your brand go? Where's it going? Answering those questions and the language of the brand puts you in category all your own, gives you credit for your expertise. And the problem is that people don't know that's what branding is. They think it's a look and a line. Oh, they'll even verbalize, we came up with a good brand. They mean like they were sitting at the kitchen table, they created a logo, or their daughter in design school. I think it's do you like the green? I don't know. What if it's pink? It's like, but where's the strategy? It begins with what you stand for. And when you begin with impacts, the impacts you want to make, and you let that, and you define that clearly up front, here's the surprise. The process of brand development can define in language the brand you must become to make those impacts.
There you go. I think he's coming in a little bit late to the show, but G1 Red Crypto asks, is a brand created by you intentionally? We've talked about that. If you get a chance to go back and talk about it earlier, or does it grow organically? Let's reframe this because we've kind of covered a little bit of it. But why is it important not to, just let it grow organically or assume it's going to grow organically. It sounds like just, I don't know, just let whatever grow in the yard and see what comes up and see how that works out. But it sounds like a bad idea, right?
Well, it's a fair question. G1 Red Crypto, fair question. So here is the maybe logical and prudent, if you will, answer. You want to get credit for what makes you outstanding. Mm-hmm. You want your brand to get credit for the characteristics that you must get credit for to make your impacts. You want to get credit for the categories of expertise that people must give you. You have to have it, and they must give it to you in order to make your impacts. In order to get that credit, you have to take that credit. So in other words, putting language out there that lets people, even pre-writing testimonials. So what people say about you includes those characteristics and includes those categories of expertise. Managing that process of defining and languaging brand and then marketing it so that you get credit makes it happen faster. It will always happen organically. What you want to make sure you do, remember the word consistent. A brand is a perception. Your job, branding, is everything you can do to create a consistent perception that moves your brand strategically forward. Unless you control it, unless you put out those things, you won't get them back. Mm-hmm. It's a crapshoot. And so leaving it up to organic completely, whatever happens, happens. And think the environment of business changes anyway. A technology will change. If you're in the technology business, think about, Michael Porter's 5 platforms back in his original, Michael Porter, the guy at Harvard that wrote Competitive Advantage. He says, if any of these 5 areas, if something changes in any of those 5 areas, it'll strategically change the nature of the industry. And one of those is technology. One of them is suppliers. One of them is employees. One of them is your, new entrants. Somebody comes in as a new competitor. It's like things will happen that will affect your brand. The better foundation of clarity that you have for why you are in what you do and what you do, and the picture you see for those who let your brand in, those things don't change.
Yeah.
You just once you get them out there, no one else will say them like you do. That's the purpose of brand development. And then getting credit, that's the marketing part, executing it. So there's going to be organic, but you want to make sure that you maintain that consistent perception.
There you go. What are you finding some mistakes people make with branding in the marketplace? I mean, imagine there's a whole host, and what are some top ones that you I can see you laughing. So there's some that
I'm grabbing a list, baby.
You have a list.
I did a live before. I did a thing called the Clarity Summit, because clarity is the missing piece. I did a thing called the Clarity Summit. Interviewed 23 world-class experts about areas of clarity. And I was doing clarity Facebook Lives for a while. And one of mine was, what do you do that's working against you? Here are a few. Ready? Okay. You hire several third-party marketers and say, you guys write the copy. Okay. Or what do you think is good? Okay. And one makes you look this way, and this one comes up with this campaign idea. It creates confusion and misinformation, and you don't get credit for what makes you outstanding. And it looks like a hodgepodge. Bad move. Okay.
Most we're like, wait, we don't see you that way. What do you bullshit at us?
Okay. Language that does not transfer energy. People only know how to say that, but it's critical. If it doesn't transfer energy, then it falls flat. Mm-hmm. And if you say, well, I'm a life coach. And people go like, oh, that's nice. That's fall flat.
So is everyone on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I bring people to the foundational, purpose for their lives, and then they're off like a rocket. It's like you say something and people go, what? Wow. I got to go, but can I have your card? Coming alive and falling flat. It's just a choice. And if you don't use language that's unique to the brand that transfers energy, you're missing a huge opportunity. So why would you not? Let me do two more. I mentioned clarity before. If you say the same thing more than one way, you're going to start to create confusion and misinformation. If you speak with a foundation of clarity, and this is the way you say what you paint that picture of what you see for their life or their family or their business or their industry. Those things done with clarity and with the language that has, let's call it gravitas, it has weight, it has knowingness. That comes from brand development. That comes, this is the way we say it, and this is how we feel. And when you say it, they believe it. And no one else says it that way. That's what you're after. Mm-hmm. So when you don't, or when you allow yourself to just shoot from the hip and say things lots of different ways, you're your own, worst enemy. I will say, I will mention it just as a gift from my heart. These days, everybody wants to use AI. I'm not against AI, but AI is AI, and it only knows what it knows, and it only knows what someone's put in it. So a couple of thoughts. If you don't allow yourself, sorry, I don't try to use those words. Do not allow yourself to use AI to generate content and not make sure that before you use the content, you have ensured that all of the language of that content is congruent with your brand. If you haven't defined in language your brand, that's going to be a little tricky, but you've got to review it and say, like, we don't really talk like that. We would never use that word. No one says that. Yeah. Why would we say that? Yeah, right. Because things happen. I mean, literally, I have a client who wrote a book called the 14-Day Stress Cure in 1991, and now we've created the Orman Institute for Life Mastery, because he's way bigger than just a guy who uses root cause means to eliminate stress and anger from people's lives, which he has been. But he went on AI and he said, hey, what were the 5 key points from Dr. Orman's book back in 1991, the 14-Day Stress Cure? And the AI went, bam, and he gives it to him and he reads it. He didn't use any of those 5. And 2 of them he actually spoke against in his book.
Ooh.
Now, wait a minute. AI did that? Yeah. So what does that tell you? I don't know, but it's a little scary, okay?
Still,
and so you got to review it and make sure it's congruent.
Off his books.
So that in the world of AI. Now, another thing, if you feed your unique language into the AI engine, well, I'm trying to teach it to talk like me. Guess who else gets it? Everybody
else. Yeah.
Think about it, please. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So how do you measure the success of your branding or marketing campaign? Are there some examples or certain metrics or KPIs that you focus on?
That's such a great question. Particularly
ChatGPT, by the way, came
in the old agency days, we couldn't do that. It was like, advertising. Yeah, right. But these days, the first is qualified traffic. Qualified meaning, you've made a list from your heart of those types of people that you really want to impact. Are they coming? Okay. That's number one, qualified traffic. Secondly, wherever they're coming, whether it's a website or it's landing page, or they're coming somewhere to engage with the brand, hear more, learn more, get a gift, whatever. And they come, do they tell you who they are? What's the engagement ratio? Meaning 100 people come and 100 people tell you who they are. That would be an engagement ratio of 100%. That's, of course, what we want. Good luck with that. It's challenging, but let's say you're getting 10%. What can you do to make it 20%? You want an engagement ratio. So that's number 2. And then conversion ratio, which is the number of 100 people come and 100 people do the behavior that you want them to do. They get the free gift. They sign up for the newsletter. They ask to speak to you for 30 minutes on a Zoom call about them. I mean, imagine if you could do that. Somebody who's got a gift and they're willing to, and you can talk to them for 30 minutes on a Zoom call. How many of them do you get? So if you put it out there and 100 people come, how many people convert to that behavior you wanted them to do? So qualified traffic, that's, are your target audiences coming? Engagement ratio, how many people tell you who they are, because we're all in the list building business, and we can build a correspondent relationship as a follow-up as authentically as we wish, and that's up to you. Don't mess that up when they give you their information. Don't just do stupid stuff. And conversion ratio, how many actually took the behavior, did the behavior that you want them to do? Those are the big ones. There's lots of others, but in terms of campaigning, and once you put something out there, that we talk about launch day as an example. Launch day is the day that your brand is ready to open its mouth, and certain things define launch day. What do you start? Like maybe our podcast launches today. What do you promote? Next month, we're having our first, weekend retreat to focus on whatever you're focused on. And hey, make sure and what do you announce? Hey, the book is coming out on June 31st. The book is coming out. Here's the cover. What do you start? What do you promote? What do you announce? What makes launch day launch day? And then the period after that is when the brand reaches all of its target audiences, maybe one at a time, depending on whether they all speak the same language, or whether, some could be old, some could be young, and they have different thoughts. So you might be campaigning them by rolling them out one at a time. But it's that period where you let your target audiences know the brand is here, and it's here for you. And here's what we see for you when you let the brand in.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
There's a whole bunch of metrics during that launch period that you can measure. As you open, repeat behavior. So if they've done something and you keep a correspondent relation, and you give them and then you say, hey, we thought you might be interested in this, and they pick it up. Those are indications that you're building a following, that you're building somebody that really cares, that there's a value in what you're doing. And that's a good thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So tell us what you offer over on your website and richbrands.org.
Well, there's a lot there. I have my own podcast.
With you,
I would love to have you on my podcast. So my podcast is called the Impact Brand Doctor Podcast. I don't think you need it, but I'd love to have you on anyway, just because you're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But so you'll see on the just on the homepage, you can scroll down. We offer a half day every month. We offer a 1-day workshop intensive. We have the podcast. I've been on, I think I'm up to 80 podcasts. Some of the episodes I've been on, talking about everything from very, very narrow areas of branding or marketing, to faith, to things that are personal. It's a wide gamut of things. But I think the most important things are right above the fold on the homepage. And it says, you need clarity to move your brand to its higher level impacts. You need clarity. Maybe it should say you want clarity, but the point is, without clarity, it's not going to happen. And it's the missing piece. And then it says, hey, listen to these free videos that answer questions that people ask all the time, the impact brand, video FAQs for free. Just listen to them. And it says, talk to Rich for 30 minutes. Now, let's take a look at that. I've 46 years of experience running agencies, global brand, certified, trained NLP. I should be on a yacht or on a beach. I'm on Zoom. Take advantage of it. And you could be anyone and go on richbrands.org and click talk to Rich for 30 minutes. And you know what you'll be doing? You'll be talking to me, and I'll be listening, thinking, what are the possibilities for you to make your next higher level impacts? And I will share it with you. And it'll be a blessing. I believe it'll be a blessing to your business and maybe your life. Just take advantage of it. That's what's on the website. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff too. Here's bios. I speak. So if you go to Rich Speaks, you can download my one sheets. If you need a speaker that's powerful and energetic and will customize a presentation for your organization, absolutely. I would like it to make sure it's focused on impact of some kind. Let's keep that in mind. And I'm sure you have the impacts you want to make, so that I'm sure we'll be speaking the same language, but I'll be speaking your language.
Awesome sauce. And then you've got a whole mess of books too that people can order out there on Amazon and different places. You've got Elevate, Raise Your Life and Business to a Higher Level, impact, where passion and purpose makes a difference, to Amazon #1 bestsellers, visibility, success stories from elite leaders, making an impact from the stage, and cracking the rich code. That sounds pretty cool. Cracking the rich code.
Jim Britt, who was Tony Robbins and Harv Eker's mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Britt was Jim Rohn's business partner. Jim Rohn, worked full-time on my job and part-time on my future. Jim Rohn, right? He was Jim Rohn's business partner. And they created the self-development industry in their own way in Orange County, California, back in the 80s. And he came out with a book series called Cracking the Rich Code with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, blessed by Tony Robbins. So there's a book called Cracking the Rich Code, and I can send you one with my picture on the cover, and there's Jim Rohn, there's Kevin Harrington, and there's Tony Robbins. And my chapter in that book deals with the 7 steps of impact-driven branding. I believe all entrepreneurs who are heart-centered and impact-driven should know that there's a process that they can champion and do themselves. And yeah, you can get help if you want to, but you should know it's a process first. People don't think branding is a process. They think it's some
PR statement
thing that comes from a guru, or you need certain, special. Yeah. But when you have access to it, it changes your impacts. You speed to impact, speed to the abundance, because you make your impacts faster. And frankly, if you're an impact driven person and you do this, this branding done the right way from inside creates a platform for you that makes it way easier to step into your purpose. And your business might just be your vehicle, might not be why you're here. There might be much higher levels of impact that you get to make. And using branding to take your business to higher levels, the work you're doing creates a platform that makes it much easier to step into your purpose. So frankly, that's why I'm back in branding. I said I stopped when I turned 50. I'm now a couple decades beyond 50, but I feel like I'm in my 30s. Don't kid around and don't wait. Look, we all remember when Chris was reading that phenomenal introduction and it says, but it's not about branding. And he kind of laughed. It's about each of us as God-made people get to make the most significant impact we can on the lives and the world we touch. Mm-hmm. Why wait?
There you go. Well, evidently, G1 Red Crypto didn't wait. He really loves what you have to say, so he's scheduled for next Monday with you. There you go. People can
good for you, G1 Red Crypto.
At a time there on the site. Final thoughts, Rich, as we go out, and give us your .com.
Final thoughts. The clarity with which your brand speaks means words. It means you show up, how you look, the way you stand, what people say about you, those things that are on every first impression management item that create your brand, create the first impression. The clarity with which your brand speaks shapes its impact. Mm-hmm. Please take time to invest in yourself and your next level impacts by baking clarity into your brand development.
Very important.
The .com is a .org, okay?
Yeah, and
it's RichBrands, RichBrands.org. You'll see me there. Scroll down that homepage. You'll see everything from the monthly events we do to podcasts from the Rich Brand, from the Impact Brand Doctor podcast, and my calendar. Right at the top of the homepage, it says "Talk with Rich 30 minutes," or get the free video. So do one or the other, do both. I welcome you. I want to talk to you about your vision for impacts and help give you value that might very well guide and mentor you right now in the way you need it, and be a blessing to your business and maybe your life.
There you go. That was a beautiful ending. I almost cried. That was touching. That was like a whole Oscar moment. Thank you very much.
Welcome
Rich,
to my world, then.
There you go. Heartfelt branding. Rich, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a lot of fun to have you on.
Chris, this has been a blessing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And great to meet you finally. I look forward to a long association. I don't think we'll be texting each other every day, but you know what? I know who you are, and we're in touch now. I'm going to go on and
I'm adding you to my Snapchat. So
thank you. All righty.
Sir, thank you very much, Rich. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com, Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com, Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. That thing grows like a weed like every single day. It's crazy. In fact, did I put one out today? I don't know. Go to youtube.com and Chris Voss One at TikTok. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.